Well, hey, what's happening, everybody? Back with you. This is going to be part 2 of the old putting the clutch in the Firebird. So, last video you saw we got everything cleaned up. Got the transmission cleaned up. Got the shifter all cleaned up. I soaked it in some stuff. So what I'm going to do today is lube it up. Get it all lubed up and ready to get put back on. We pulled the side cover and the bearing retainer. I'm not going to mess with that. Probably do that tomorrow. So we can go ahead and reseal the transmission up and everything. I have a feeling we pulled this off and you can, the bearing drains like right in here in a hole in the case, and we're thinking it might have been leaking from here, and then the bolts had all kinds of oil on them. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe it was leaking through there just from age and everything else. So pulled the shield off the bottom of the shifter, the old stainless steel shield here. Pulled that off, and then that's what was stuck to it. 50 years of nasty crap that's hard as a freaking rock. It's like mud, you can't even break it. It's like rocks. So I got the shifter clean, as clean as I'm going to get without tearing the whole thing apart. I could tear it apart and dismantle it and clean all the damn stuff, but I don't really feel like going through it. And it's tight, and I don't really have any problems with it, so I figure if I just grease it up real good, we should be alright. One of the other things is that on these factory shifters you have these little rubber isolators. I don't know, get this thing to move. There we go. You have these little rubber isolators here, and this one here for 3rd and 4th is missing. Well, of course, when I ordered parts, they were all on back order. Nobody has them, so I guess we're just going to have to run with it. The rod fits in there pretty tight. I didn't feel any slop, and it always shifted pretty well, so I think we're just going to try and wing it and see what happens. So the first and second one isn't in that good a shape either. That's got a piece missing out of it. Of course, reverse doesn't wear out because, well, how often do you really use reverse? So, but got my parts in. Got the boots and stuff for the clutch rod on the firewall, because I put a new one in a tour. I got one for the bell housing. I got the Muncie gasket kit. I bought an intake gasket kit, so when we do the intake manifold. And I got another flywheel. So I bought a new flywheel. So everything came in, so all the parts are here, so all we got to do is just start putting things back together. Got the bell housing all cleaned up. You guys probably didn't see it, but when we pulled it out, it was as black as the transmission was. It was filthy. Soaked the clutch fork with the shifter. That come out real good. So got to put that back together. Cleaned up the cross member a little bit. This car was undercoated years ago, or when it was new, I guess, and crazy. I think a lot of this black stuff that you see on the transmission here is undercoating that just will not come off. We tried the best we could to get everything off of it, but it was just a real mess. So I got the shift rods in there soaking now, so we'll get them cleaned up too. So that's about what's as much as going on right now. So I know you guys watched the rear end video, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do the posi rear right now. The way things are going, I ended up having to spend a little bit of money getting the parts for this, for the clutch job. And then there's other things. Of course, $5 a gallon gasoline doesn't help matters. So it's probably not going to be within the budget right now, unfortunately, as much as I want to do it. It's a want, it's not a need. Car needs other things. It needs a driver's side door hinge, upper door hinge real bad, because the pins are bad in it and they just left it go, and now I have a feeling the hinge isn't any good, so I'm just going to put a new hinge in it. There's other things that I would like to, I want to get a wheel well for the driver's side, rear quarter panel. So to me, that stuff is a little bit more important than doing the posi rear end, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have to hold off on that for right now. So maybe situation will change and I'll be able to come up with the money, but at this point in time, I just don't have it. I want to try and keep what I have, sit on a little bit. So that's the unfortunate way it goes when you work on a budget. You got to separate your wants from the needs. So it works just fine. It's just a peg leg. So what are you going to do? Alright, well, let me get set up here. I'll start greasing this thing up and then I'll bring you guys back. Oh, here we go. We got her all greased up. So got it in the best I could. Got it in all the pivot points and everything. So it's working pretty decent. Feels really smooth. No bullshit issues with anything. Greased her all up in there. I'm using a Penray, or not Penray. I got this stuff from Imperial actually. Penray used to make this also, but I don't think they do anymore. It's called Red Penetrating Grease. This stuff is pretty expensive. It actually had been looking for this for quite a few years. The nice thing about it is that it's good to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and it comes out as a liquid, and then it gets solidifies and it gets thick like a grease. So it really makes it nice to grease stuff with it, you know, especially the shifter here, because then you can run it down and everything, and then it'll still solidify and dry, and it'll become like a grease then. So I think that'll be okay. Like I said, it probably would have been better to take it apart, but I didn't really feel a need to go dismantling it for no reason at all. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this stainless piece back in here. Put that back in the shifter, bottom of the shifter. That's what keeps all your dirt and keeps your grease and stuff inside the shifter. And then I'll call that done. So I think that might be it for tonight. Just trying to do a little bit at a time. I don't know, I might put the pivot ball in the bell housing. We pulled the bell housing out of the car. I pulled the clutch fork off, and I was wiping the grease off the pivot ball here. And if you can look and see that shiny spot? Well, here, this pivot ball was loose in the bell housing, and that shiny spot's from where it stopped when it ran into the transmission. Well, I was always wondering why the clutch was always seemed to be going out of adjustment and doing goofy stuff, and I could never figure out what it was. Well, I'm thinking that this was the issue, because it was just in there loose. It just, I don't know if from all the chattering it caused it to do that, but it threads in here just fine. No problems with it. It feels like it tightens up. I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on it, and just to see. Usually these things are seized into the freaking bell housing. You can never ever get them out of the damn thing, and they're usually so tight in there you can never get them out. But for some reason this one was loose, and like I said, if you can see that little rub spot, that little shiny spot on right up here, you can see where it was rubbing the transmission. I guess from where it was rattling around, hitting it, because it just backed itself out. So I don't know if maybe that was some of our chatter, or maybe the chatter didn't help matters with that. I don't know. So hopefully this will be a whole lot better once it goes back together. So thinking that's probably going to be it for right now. Be out here tomorrow. We'll be working on the transmission, getting that all done, so we can start putting this thing back together. All right, see you then. Well, hey, what's going on, everybody? Back with you with some more progress. We're going to film Friday. It was 60 degrees Friday, so we actually had warm weather, but we ended up, battery was dead in this thing, and we were just jamming to get things done. So let me show you what we accomplished. Might not seem like much, but it is what it is. So anyways, we got the pilot bearing out, And Pontiacs use a roller pilot bearing. So we pulled the old one out, and we got the old one sitting here, and cleaned it all up, and that's what the old one looks like. And the old one's open on the back side of it. So a lot of guys are saying it almost looks like it's the original bearing. A lot of guys are saying they just pull them out and repack them instead versus replacing them, because the new one is closed up on both sides. So we're thinking that what we're going to do is we're going to repack this, and then we can repack the reservoir that's behind this with some grease in there. And the thought on our process is that it's going to keep it lubed up. You know, what are you thinking? You're thinking the same thing too, Tom?
Yeah, I don't, because the seal bearing, if it ever loses grease out of it, it's not going to, it's just going to dry out, and then it's going,
yeah,
it's going to go bad.
Yeah.
Where that one will continuously
this will
supply itself with some grease.
Yeah, we'll get some grease in it.
For what's inside the
little receiver there.
Yeah.
Because how this goes in
I like
is
the idea.
the closed end, the open end goes in towards the engine. Closed end goes towards the transmission. So we clean this all up. It spins smooth. There's no rust spots in it or anything like that. So I'm thinking we're just going to reuse this.
It's probably a better bearing.
Yeah, it probably is. Versus this one that's closed on both ends. I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference, but we just have a feeling that this thing here, if anything ever dries out in it, it's going to be a problem because it won't be able to relube itself. Or is it?
Yeah, look at it.
Oh yeah, it is.
I like that. That means
it is a thicker bearing. We didn't even notice that. We never even compared them.
there is a different size.
Yeah, they're all say it is.
And and the crank is not that deep.
Yeah, I don't even know if that'd
So
fit in.
bigger, probably got bigger ball bearings in
Yeah.
it. But I like the other bearings.
Well, you know, this one fits. What you do is that when you put this in the crankshaft is that you put that in there, and you stake it with like a little chisel. You take a chisel and just go around, you push it back as far as you can, and you just stake it, and that's what holds it in the crank. And but seeing that this one is narrower and this one is, I don't even know if we'd have enough room to push that in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'll
stake it.
Once you push the old one in there, it doesn't go back that far.
No.
That new one's just going to be, I think it's going to be flush.
It's sitting flush. Well, how are you going to stake it? You're not going to be able to. You're going to risk hitting the bearing race with the
Yeah, I don't think you could
with the
stake that
chisel.
bigger bearing. I didn't notice the top one was a different height.
Yeah, we didn't notice it was a different height until right now when I just pulled it out of there. So, well, I guess we'll just stay with this old one then. So.
Yeah, I like the old one being over.
Yeah, it says it's made in USA too.
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know where this one's made. I don't even know if it tells us. No, it just has a number on it, and that's it. Like I said, I was on the Firebird message board, and a lot of guys were saying that the new bearings are junk and don't even use them. And he said if you can reuse your old one or repack it, to use it, because it's just a way better bearing.
Yeah,
So
we got the old one out without hurting it.
Yeah, we got it out, and it was a real pain trying to get the stakes out of it. It was tough, but we got it. So had to take a center punch and just try and beat it down around it, and then we just pulled it out. So
Staked it, what, 3 times?
yeah, they put 3 stakes in it. Yeah. So, but that's all it holds it in. It's, you know, it's not like a pilot bushing that I'm used to on Chevrolets.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different for me. I don't know if any other GMs use a bearing. You know, I have no idea. So this is the first Pontiac I've ever had. So that's what's going on.
The old one was still getting good supply of grease.
Oh yeah, because the receiver was just full of grease in there.
The receiver had enough grease in it that was still feeding that bearing once it got hot, you know. Which I like that. I like the idea, the old way the old bearing is.
Yeah,
being able to get grease to it.
Yeah, well, it heats up and it'll run down in. So then the next problem we ran into, I discovered this Thursday night after I did the video, was cleaning up and doing some stuff. We took the old bearing retainer here, and we went to stick it in. I went to stick it in the bell housing. You know, I don't know. You want to stick that in, Tom? I'm going to try and hold the camera. So we went to put that in, and we couldn't get it to fit. It just would not go in, and it's actually, this is way better than it was. I mean, it was worse before.
Yeah, it would barely go
I mean,
in.
we can work it in now.
Everything's cold though.
Yeah, everything's cold, but we could work it in. I mean, if you smack it with your hand, it'll go down in there. And we can get it flush. When I went to put it in the other day, I could not. So we ended up going around the bearing retainer and the bell housing with some emery plate paper and stuff. Just taking a little bit off at a time and just fitting it. Because we literally had to pry the transmission out of it or it would not come out. We took all the bolts out of it and it wouldn't pull back. And we actually had to get on the transmission with pry bars on the right here. You can see where we were kind of prying down in here. We had to get in there and pry it back just to get it out of the bell housing. And
there was some of this chamfer was
yeah, some of the chamfer. To have it chamfered all around this hole here, and a lot of this chamfer was missing. Yeah. So we re-chamfered it, and then we went ahead and just kept going around it slowly. Yeah. Until we could get it to fit.
You don't want this loose.
No, you don't want it loose. But then again, you don't want to fight to put the stupid thing in. No. Because when you're laying under the car, you at least want to be able to work it up in. And you don't want to draw it in with the bolts. Absolutely, you can't draw it in because there's so many munchies out there that are trash because guys will draw them in with the bolts and bust the ears right off. So you need the mallet.
Yeah, it's just cold.
Yeah. But at least right now, we think we can at least work it in by working the transmission up and down, and it should go in. It shouldn't be a fight. When we put it in the other day, on Friday, when we went to put it in, it just would not, it wouldn't even go halfway.
No.
I mean, we couldn't even get it a quarter of the way. Yeah. You know, we would have just been beating ourselves to death trying to get this thing. I don't know how they did it if they ever did put a clutch in it. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. You don't want to draw the bolts in.
No.
From that far out.
No.
I mean, these ears are not that.
No, they're not strong.
You could bust these ears off, or you could strip the threads out of the mounting area. So you want this to.
Yeah, you could even break the bell housing. Yeah. The bell housing's not that thin. It's not that thick. Or you strip the bolts out of it.
Yeah, you pull the threads out of the
bell housing.
Bust the ears off trying to pull that in the way it was. Now, at least now it gets us really close.
Yeah.
To where we have to draw them in, it won't be so far out.
So we ended up doing that. So that was an issue big time. Like I said, we had to pry the transmission out. We took all the bolts off and we were actually moving the engine up and down with the transmission unbolted. I mean, it would not literally move. And then we had to start prying on it. And we were being so careful because, of course, you don't want to pry on the ears because if you pry on the ears, you'll bust one of them off. So, I mean, it took us a good 15 or 20 minutes to get it to come loose. So with prying and everything else. So I'm hoping it's still going easier because when I put it in there, I thought, you can't fight with this. I mean, it's going to be impossible to get it in there. And there's just no way of doing it without the trash and everything. So we just clearance the hole a little bit so we can get everything together. So next thing we did is we pulled the side cover all apart and got that all ready to roll. Got that all apart and cleaned up. Got all the old seals out. I don't have the old ones, I threw them away, but they were junk. So all we got to do now is just tap some seals in it. Gasket area is cleaned up. Everything looks good in the transmission. Yeah, well, the shifters, I already showed them that. But everything looks good in the transmission. All the gears look real good. I don't see any problems in there.
Synchros are nice.
Yeah. So everything looks good in the transmission. So the only thing we need to do is get this cover back together, and I'll show you guys how to put those seals in, because all they do is just tap in from up here and just go down in. We'll put got to clean up the bearing retainer gasket area and put that on. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drill it for a drain plug. There's a boss on the side of the transmission right here, and supposedly in '69 Muncies were supposed to be drilled for the drain plug. I don't know, this one isn't, which is kind of surprising. So I don't know why it isn't. I don't know if it was a Pontiac thing or a Chevy thing. Maybe it just goes either way, and whatever they decided to do, they did it, and you know, whatever. So we're gonna drill it. We got a tap, and we got a tap, and we got a plug and a drill bit, and we're gonna go ahead and flip it up so that we can drill it. Go through it real slow so we don't get a bunch of aluminum crap in it and flush it all out. So, kind of hoping today I can get the transmission all fixed up, or get it at least back together. We'll see. I got to work second shift next week, so there's probably not going to be a whole lot of anything getting done, unfortunately. And of course it's supposed to be warm out. So, unless I come down late at night after work and do it, because I got to work till 11:30 at night. So, but that brings you up to date right now. Now here we are, we're back. Heater's on, so I hope you can hear me. So, got this all cleaned up. So right now we're getting ready. We're going to drill the plug in the side of the transmission. Hope we don't screw it up. So, now I guess we'll be packing her full of JB Weld. What was that look for?
Hey, my cup of tea for the transmission. I'd take it in and weld it for you.
Yeah, we've got to pull the whole thing apart then.
Yeah.
So, at any rate, alright, we're going to give this shit a shot and see how we wake out here. So we're going to drill a pilot hole. We're going to drill a 9/16 pilot hole and see how that goes. And then we'll get in there with the big boy and start ripping into it. So, alright, we'll hold.
Give it some action.
Rarely record ourselves working on anything. Oh boy. Fun, fun, fun. I don't know how dead centered I am here, Tom. Yeah, look centered. I look centered? How do we look? Right there?
Yeah.
This one of our junk drill bits that doesn't cut.
Looks like it. It's got.
Very good. Sharp.
Maybe you need to go a little faster.
What's that?
Go a little faster. Turn up the RPMs a little bit. See if you
Turn her up.
Yeah.
Give her help.
Way off center.
We off?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to straighten.
Well, this is just a problem. We can't. We need a jig. It's off. It's so hard to get on that and hold it. And this thing doesn't have any levels on it, so you don't know. You know what I mean? Some of them have levels so you can see where you're drilling.
All you do is go there. go back this way a little bit. Try to straighten it out.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, you just got plenty outer surfaces. I'm not saying you got to stay dead center.
well, the damn thing walked on me is what happened.
Try another drill bit. Maybe that one is ain't sharp enough. Go down a couple or whatever. And it's just going to walk back in there.
Let's see what it does. Where's that? Looks a little better. What do you think?
If it'll stay there, as deep as you already going, it's probably going to walk back in there.
We'll see.
Good. Why is your hand wobbling on the drill?
What's that?
Why is your hand wobbling to it?
I don't know. I need a drill bit again. Harbor Freight, brother. Cutting. The other one wasn't cutting.
Yeah, that's just cutting good. You straight.
How's she look? That looks pretty good.
That looks good.
Think
Drive her home.
Think we need to go any further?
I thought you were going to drill through the case.
Oh, we can.
Oh, well.
I didn't know if we wanted to just drill a little bit and start with the other one or go run it the whole way home.
I'd take that all the way in. Take her all the way. That would just keep it
Run her home.
straight as possible.
Doesn't look good.
Good. What's that?
In case we strike oil.
Yeah. You still got a ways to go.
Yeah, I know, that's pretty thick.
It's thick through there. Faster.
What's What's that?
Turn any more pins up. I'm going so slow.
Huh?
Why you got it going so slow? There you go.
Hoppy, hoppy, hoppy.
Yeah, I felt that in the hand.
Nice, this thing going so crooked.
Huh?
This thing going so crooked.
We'll turn it on this. See if the drill bit's bent. Well, it's drill bit. It's the operator. Have at this one, bitch.
You calling me a sissy?
Yeah,
Nice. Thanks, bro.
calling you out. Well, maybe call Dave. I thought you were through the cage when it grabbed.
No.
You better hang on to that thing. It grabs, it's gonna smack you up in the face.
Make sure I'm going straight.
Well, you're going straight now. You can't go crooked now as deep as you are. Oh, sorry. Gotta hang on to this thing better. Because you're getting ready to bust through this fucking thing. I've got the camera in my hand. Go ahead.
Right.
Viewers are saying, what the fuck is he doing? Yo! Don't hit the gears. Oh, there she goes. She's puking.
It's good. Gotta flush all that shit out of there.
Yeah, it's coming out.
Well, it's done. We got it tapped. Sorry, we had to put the camera down because it was a two-hand job with holding the drill and holding the transmission. But we got her tapped. Plug screws right in there real good. Got no metal shavings in the transmission at all. Everything worked real good. She runs in real nice by hand. So now we can drop the transmission on the floor. Yep, there she is. She's done. Alright, we're back with you. Got the bearing retainer on. Now we're getting ready to put the seals in the old side cover here. And they're pretty simple to do. Just want to get these in here straight. Here, cameraman. And I use just a socket. 3/4 socket seems to work real well. It's a good size for it. That's it. Pound her down flush, and she's all done. And here she is. That's it. Now we just got to put all this mess back together. So the first things that go in are these pieces. Let's spin this around so we've got it going. I just confused them. It's probably did. No. Looks like you're one that time. Fell out. You want to make sure you got these in neutral. Neutral should be just right there. And all we got to do is just drop it down on and tighten her up. That's how you put them shaft seals in. That's it. Brand new seals. You won't have any issues with them leaking anymore. Alright. Yes. We're going to get ready to get the gasket on. I don't know how much battery's left in that thing. Ooh, we're almost dead. Alright, we're going to turn it off, put this back on, we'll get back to you.